From bankruptcy to $500 million. That's not just a headline, it's the real journey of Mr. Josh Sizemore, who is today's guest on the SelfSeed Podcast. Welcome back to the SelfSeed Podcast, where we plant the seeds of growth over time through real stories and showing the resilience and stories and practical lessons. And today's guest, Mr. Josh Sizemore, he's a brand builder, he's an operator and a CEO who has actually conquered or who has scaled and revived brands from in some of the toughest conditions. For instance, he has revived the original New York Seltzer into a 400 million plus acquisition. He has built a water brand from scratch in just 4 years, right? And then he is now leading FeastFast Snacks. So today we are going to talk about what it really takes to build, scale, and sustain brands, especially in imperfect conditions. So if you are a founder and you are listening to this, I hope you can learn something from the journey. So let's get started. 20 years plus in CPG, consumer product, consumer packaged goods.
Yeah.
Yes? Oh,
yes.
Okay. You have an expertise in storytelling and operations, and you have an experience in leadership across FMCG. And now, for the listener who has been following the SelfSeed Podcast, in one of the series I did, AI and Africa series, I talked about how people are building, how founders are building in constraints. So I think your journey echoes that same spirit, and it means you make the big things happen, especially when conditions are imperfect. So I'm very happy to have you today on the podcast, and I hope you'll enjoy, and the listener will enjoy, and will learn something from you.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me. Appreciate you.
All right. The quick question that I have is that you have revived brands, right? That others thought probably they were not going to make it. They're dead. So take us back to that moment. Like, what was the mindset that you adopted when you were working, especially the deal like the one for original New York Seltzer turnaround? How did you walk into that?
It was kind of by chance, honestly. I was running some big retail brands at the time, and I was getting burnt out. And one of my buddies in California, I was in Detroit at the time with Shinola, and one of my buddies in California had just bought the brand. So the brand was doing about 400 or 500 million in revenue in the 90s. And it was a brand really ahead of its time, all natural sparkling soda, right? In the 90s, you didn't hear of it, but they were doing great, and they were exclusively distributed by Anheuser-Busch. AB decided to make an offer to buy the company, and they offered 300 or 400 million, and the owner didn't want to sell. So they pulled their distribution, and they ultimately went bankrupt. So the brand was for sale for almost 8-9 years. And nobody wanted to buy it because of some stipulations that the owner had, and it's kind of quirky and weird. But ultimately, one of my buddies in California, he went through the gauntlet of request from the owner, and he bought the rights to the brand. So he called me one day. He's like, "Do you want to come out and run this brand for me and build it back up?" And I was like, "I'll try." It's first time, so. But I jumped at the chance and moved back to LA and started from scratch, really, outside of the fact that the brand was so well known, which was a great thing for us because it allowed us to get back into distribution and retail really quickly. Because the brand the retailers loved the brand. And so the kind of first thing we did was bought a bottling facility in LA. I hired some great seasoned beverage people. So I could learn from them, be mentors as we grew the brand. And, we just, piece by piece put things together, and it really happened a lot quicker than we thought. We went from 0 to 10,000 doors in about 3 or 4 months, which is pretty crazy. And we just continued to grow, and ultimately we exited in July of 2022, I believe. So.
Interesting. Yeah, the way you
So
just said it was
yeah,
chance, but at the same time, you had to make a certain somehow kind of a framework on how you're going to. Yeah, I'm going to try, but I have to set some things in place, like how you brought in people who were experienced in the and these people help you at least to take it along the way. And I think that's the thing that you always highlight, that about operational excellence. You talk about operational excellence. So for any founder, you went to beverage and you were not even in the beverage industry before. What does it
yeah,
actually mean for founders that are coming from the bottom about this operational excellence?
yeah. I think you have to always be looking 10 steps ahead, but always be in the moment. And if
Mm,
I know that doesn't make a lot of sense, but because everything you do can impact the future.
mm-hmm,
So always thinking about, whether it's cost
mm,
or branding or messaging
mm.
or marketing concepts, how
Mm.
is that going to affect next year and the year
Next.
after and the year after, right? Like the people
Mm.
you bring on, obviously the most important thing, right? How's that
Yeah,
going to
yeah,
affect your
yeah.
culture as you grow, right? Culture is so important. So just, it's a thing to understand, but if you can think like that, then luckily the business you'll grow, continue to grow, and you'll have all those things in place because you're
Mm.
always, you're consistently checking those things, whether it's physically or mentally. I also think that starting from zero, you want to ensure that you don't spread yourself too thin. So not going wide, go as deep as you can, right?
Mm.
If you're not doing direct to consumer and you're in retail, go if you're in one store, go as deep as you can.
As deep as you
Take,
can.
if there's 50 beverages on the shelf, go be number one. Go as deep as you can. Be number one in that, and take all the market share in that
Mm.
store, if that's what you have to do. And that's
Yeah,
going to get you another store, and then that's going to get you another store, and that's going to get you 10 stores and 20 and 30,
yeah, yeah.
and you can, ideally you can save cash that can become more cash flow positive.
Mm.
You can get to profitability quicker. I mean, it's never quick beverage. It's, it's a game. It's,
Mm.
you need to, it's heavily capitalized. So, just thinking about all that, knowing it before you jump into it,
Mm.
is mindful and necessary. Yeah. So hopefully that's a kind of a
Yeah, yeah,
framework.
it does.
Yeah.
The aspect you being able to look 5 years later and yet you're working the moment. I think that's a fundamental thing to do, especially as a leader in your organization or something like that. And it's interesting. You also say if you're in a store, if there are 50 products in along what you're doing, so try to be the first one, try to be number one. That thing will continue to move you from one shop to another, from one to another. And that's interesting. And there's in process of you trying to think about 5 years, yet you're in this moment and yet you're trying to influence your market. What role does authentic storytelling play in building the consumer trust? Because for me to be to top of the 50 brands it means I have to have a relatable story or something like that.
Yeah, so I think there's two things. So one, being authentic and having an authentic story, and having someone on the founding team or the founder that is telling that story is always the best, because they're going to be the most authentic, because they're going to, they're there from zero.
From zero.
So them telling the story is going to come over not only authentically but passionately, right? And so that's a big thing, right? And however you can get that across, whether that's digitally, whether that's on the packaging, whether that's podcast, whether that's just you. And this is my recommendation, is you in the store sampling your product to customers.
Yeah.
And that's how you go deep. That's how you get market share. That's how you sell the product.
Yeah.
Because you're not only giving the people a chance to try it, but you're telling the story while they're doing it. And you're the man, you're the founder, right? So I know that can't happen every store, but if you're in one store or two stores, it can happen. And that's how you get velocity. That's how you get traction. That's how you gain momentum.
Yeah, being able to story and then let people resonate with it. I think that's more audience or attracts more clients, because people, he's just a guy like me, but he has gone through this and that. Yeah, that's very good. And in the podcast, I asked this on the podcast. Many of the listeners are early stage entrepreneurs, and they have to know about how to scale or how to build a brand. And so in addition to all of that, what lessons can you share with someone that helped you from scaling a brand to maybe, let's say, the exit you did almost 400 plus million? How does just to hit the 500K at least?
You just can't stop. If you have a good concept and you've vetted it and you have great feedback and you know you have a great product, then get some people around you that have been there, done that as mentors or advisors, just so you can have a roadmap, an outline. Listen to them, try to surround yourself with people like that. And know what? Don't stop. Like the reason people lose and fail is because they quit. And being an entrepreneur is very, very difficult. Sometimes, everybody sees like the wins, right? All the walls in social media,
the sweet
and all that
stuff,
shit. But that's 4 years exit, 5 years exit, 6 years exit, 3 years exit. That shit don't happen. That's 1%. Like it takes 10, 11, 12, 15 years. And when it don't happen in 3 or 4 years, these entrepreneurs, they just quit because they don't think it's going to happen. But if they continue, it will happen. And I promise it will happen.
Interesting.
So you cannot stop.
The biggest I'm learning is like the cycle that you have, the people who are helping you in the journey. Like it's very important to have people who can criticize positively and both negatively, like not always sugarcoating stuffs and all that.
Oh yeah.
And now I'm as you people and your brand is going and all that, but I feel like you hit at some point you hit a wall and you kind of question yourself, should I continue, should I go? And you as an experienced person, you finished with the original New York Seltzer, and you moved on to building a water brand, right? The water brand in just 3 to 4 years. And
4 years. Yeah.
Okay. Then how did you know it was time to like let it go, let your baby go?
Well, it wasn't. And it's very sad, honestly. I went through a bad divorce and had to sell quickly. So that was the issue. We would have been a $1 billion brand if we would have continued, for sure, no doubt. But there were circumstances beyond my control, and I just so it was funny. We was in many conversations, probably 8 or 9, with Nestle Waters for them to acquire us, and it was like the same week we were in our final meeting. They just got a new CFO. The CFO came in and kind of kiboshed the whole. Yeah, he was like, "No, we're not doing it." So, which was surprising. We were there to close the deal, and then like a few days later, I got an offer from a PE firm that was the super low ball, but I had to take it. Yeah.
No, that's painful. That's painful to let something that you like, you knew it was going to grow, and yet you're like, I just have to let it go. And now when you look at it as it has grown, do you keep track of it, and how does it make you feel or something?
No, I don't even look at it. Actually, I think they used the water rights because we had such good water. They used it for military purposes. They I think the brand and just use the water. Yeah.
Oh, okay. What's been the hardest leadership lesson like for you personally so far, with all the experience that you have, and even with FeastFast Snacks?
Yeah, I mean, it's just managing personalities, relationships. When it comes down to it, if you have great products, you can find great people to scale your products. You know, obviously, always capital is an issue if you're not backed by big time financiers, so that's always an issue as you grow. But at this point, it's just about relationships, figuring out who's right for the who's right for the brand, whether that's, your employees or your business partners or your board or whoever. If you don't have a fundamentally sound on all sides that understands the goal and is there to support that, then it's going to be tough.
I hear you. And sometimes I get that scenario that you're the founder of the company and later on you have the type of board or something and they just take it away from you. I think that's also when you don't select right. And along this process, I'm curious also to know, like you come at stresses, especially as you're saying, managing, drawing the lines between personal relationships, how to bring on people, and how do you manage this stress, all of it, and the burnout? You still need to scale fast, because that's I feel like that's your motto, that's mantra, scaling fast. Yeah. How do you?
Yeah, you just got to keep focused. You got to keep that North Star, in front of you, and always be, pursuing it.
Yeah.
And again, it's just, and I can't really. It's a trait. You have to just have it in you. If you're an entrepreneur and that's what you love to do, like you just have that in you. It's just
it's within you.
Yeah, it is.
Sometimes it's to teach to say, oh, this is how you do it, but you.
Yeah. It's one of the biggest lessons I learned was being an entrepreneur was two things really, was how to keep an even keel. So don't get too high, don't get too low. Just stay very middle of the road no matter what, because every minute there's a high and there's a low, and you'll go crazy trying to manage that emotion. Yeah. Just stay even. Don't worry, just stay flat.
Yeah.
So I learned that, and if you can conquer that and become an expert at that, then you've got a big advantage. Secondly is just ask for help, no matter what. Just ask everybody. Before I jumped into the water brand, I didn't ask anybody for anything. But once I started my water brand, I asked everybody for everything. And most people are willing to help, at least listen. So I don't be able to ask people for stuff.
Sometimes we feel like it's an isolated journey that we have to just do it by ourselves. But I think that's also sparred also by how the people around us tend to, interact based on what we're doing. Some could say negative stuff, and so I think back to the point where you said also the people, looking out for the people that you choose around you, people who will be able to positively criticize you or help you build.
Yeah.
In your journey so far, even with FeastFast Snacks, that's the right word.
Yeah.
What legacy have you been hoping to, that your entrepreneurial journey can leave in the world, or just to your kids or something?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have kids. I don't care about legacy. I just want to make great brands. I want to build great businesses while I'm also helping people do something. With our water brand, we gave 1 billion gallons of water away to people around the world.
Oh.
And then with FeastFast, we want to be the number one consistent, safest, the most delicious, safest diabetic snack for people with diabetes.
Oh, okay.
Because our products, they don't spike your insulin. So there's, just in the US, over 100 million people with diabetes or pre-diabetes. So if we can do that, then, we're helping a ton of people just not have to worry about like checking their insulin every time they eat anything,
Yeah. So it's all about like the impact that you create, being able to create the brands and the impact that they just create, the ripple effect. That's very, I think it's unique as to entrepreneur. Each founder can have own vision. Some could just literally want the buck.
Yeah.
And some others want, my generation to be like this, like that. Thank you much for sharing these practical tools and the honest stories on your journey. Especially, I was captured by the essence that you didn't want to give up on the water brand, but the moment just needed you to let it go. The FeastFast Snacks, I think maybe you could tell us more about the brand and something as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So the company was I guess started a couple of years ago with a couple doctors, a scientist.
Mm.
They were buddies in college. They were overweight,
Yeah.
and they wanted to lose weight, so they decided to utilize fasting and ketosis
Yeah.
as their weight loss mechanism. And then they started, like, they wanted to have these. They started trying these keto friendly snacks that's in the market.
Yeah.
And being doctors, they would blood test themselves after eating them, and their blood insulin would always, and the blood sugar glucose would always spike every time. So they're like, well, this is not working, because what people don't understand is being in ketosis or being in a fasted state, once your blood sugar spikes, you're kicked out of that no matter what. So they said, well, let's try to make our own snacks. So they had a buddy that was good at, recipes and stuff, and so they created their own snacks and started utilizing them, and they lost over 100 pounds each. And they actually started a FOI fasting membership that they brought clients in, and they utilized these snacks with them as well. And probably about 9 or 10 months ago, they decided they wanted to bring these snacks to the market. And someone found me, and it matched up with my ethos, which is health and fitness and wellness. And then I saw a bigger opportunity, which I mentioned, which is the diabetic angle, and to help that so many people, and to be that snack brand for diabetics. So I jumped in, and we went from zero, nothing really, no assets, to in the market in about 6 months, and launched a few months ago, and it's been going well. We're about to launch on Amazon either this Friday or next week, so that's exciting. And we're direct to consumer only right now. We'll do that for the next 12 months probably, unless something crazy happens. But right now we have 4 SKUs of cookies. We have a chocolate brownie flavor, chocolate chip, peanut butter, and cinnamon, and they're all pretty tasty. They're very good. And we actually got cereal and crackers in the pipeline as well. Our cereal is the best healthy cereal I've ever tasted in my life. Our cinnamon is just good as Cinnamon Toast Crunch, if you know what that is. But it's great. So I'm excited about those additional flavors and additional line of products, coming soon.
Interesting. I think it's an opportunity because there are many listeners. My podcast listeners are from all over the world. So also knowing how they can get this, especially those in the United States, and also how can people connect with you, is also one of the goal also of having you on the podcast, so that people can get your product as well as get your services or your help.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you want to drop a FeastFast 25, FeastFam 25, and I can send that to you if you need to. That'll give everybody 25% of their first order. So.
Okay, interesting. Thank you very much, Josh, for sharing all these practical tools and the good stories on podcast. I hope to the listener, I hope today's episode sparked something in the listener, because as I was listening, it was coming to my head as to how I can also change my systems and all that. So thank you very much. And to the listener, maybe you can share it with a friend or founder who is chasing their big dreams and maybe imperfect. What I'm taking from Josh is sometimes imperfect conditions don't stop extraordinary growth. So thank you very much, Josh, for coming to the podcast. Do you have any social medias and all that? Maybe the listener would want to connect with you or something, and some maybe also want to have you on their show and all that.
Yes, sure. So I'm on LinkedIn, the usual platforms, LinkedIn, Meta, so Facebook, Instagram, Joshua Sizemore, you can find me. And then also on Intro, if you want to book some time with me on Intro, I'm on there as well. I have a pretty small rate for that. So people that's building consumer goods brands, just hit me up there if you'd like.
That's Joshua Sizemore or Josh Sizemore.
Joshua Sizemore. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. And to the listener also, until next Tuesday, keep listening to the podcast and keep trying. And if you want to connect with Josh, be sure to check on the platform. So thank you for that.